says meow. Meow. That's so crazy, listen now. How says the cat? The cat says meow. Wow. Wow. How says the dog? The dog says woof. Woof, woof. Oh, that's a friendly sound to me. How says the dog? The dog says woof. Yeah. How says the goat? The goat says bleat. Bleat, bleat. Oh, I never knew that sounds so sweet. How says the goat? The goat says bleat. Oh, wow. How says the goat? The goat says bleat, bleat. How says the goat? The goat says goat. Oh, wow. How says the pig? The goat says oink, oink. How says the pig? How says the pig? Oh, that's quite amazing, yes. How says the pig? The pig says oink, oink, oink. That's really funny, don't you think? How says the pig? The pig says oink, buzzing all around. How says the bee? The bee, buzzing all around. How says the bee? Says the bee. The horse says neigh, neigh, neigh. That's a big sound, wouldn't you say? How says the horse? How says the bee? The horse says neigh. How says the duck? How says the duck? Buzzing all around. How says the horse? How says the horse? The horse says neigh, neigh, neigh. That's a big sound, wouldn't you say? How says the horse? How says the horse? The horse says neigh, neigh, neigh. That's a big sound, wouldn't you say? How says the horse? Meow. How says the duck? How says the duck? The duck says quack, quack, quack. Oh, that sound is right on track. How says the duck? How says the clock? Waddle, waddle. How says the